While everybody was arguing about the latest celebrity scandal, and while everybody was fighting over the World Cup call, and while everybody was making jokes about Trump putting his name on everything, this happened. On July 4th, the federal government officially launched Trump accounts for children. And you probably heard every child gets $1,000. Well, not exactly. A Trump account can be opened for an eligible child under 18. But the government one-time $1,000 deposit only goes to eligible U.S. citizen children born between January 1st, 2025 and December 31, 2028. So no, the government is not putting $1,000 into every child's account. And after that first $1,000, how much that account grows depends heavily on how much money the child already has around them. Baby, we about to get into this. And one might ask, what happens after that initial $1,000? Now, how much the account grows depends heavily on how much money the child has around them already. Parents and relatives can contribute. Employers can contribute up to $2,500 a year towards a Trump account of an employee or an employee's dependent without that contribution being counted as a taxable income to the employee. In plain English, one child has parents who can barely afford groceries, childcare, rent, and electricity, and an employer that contributes nothing, and another has wealthy relatives and a company depositing thousands of dollars every single year. Now, that's the same government account, but very, very different head starts. Baby, let's talk about this a little bit more. But that's not even the whole story. The White House says that if the family never contributes another dollar, the original $1,000 could grow to approximately $5,800 by the time the child turns 18. And I know that sounds wonderful until you remember that they are advertising future dollars, not future buying power. Because inflation does not stop while the account is just sitting there. Prices have already increased 3.5% over this past year alone. If inflation averaged 3.5 over those 18 years, that advertised $5,800 would have the buying power of $3,100 in today's money. And that is using the White House's optimistic projections. If the account earns only 4% a year, the balance would grow to approximately $2,000. But it would have the buying power of only $1,000 today. If it earns 2%, the child would end up with less purchasing power than the original $1,000 that had already been deposited. And let me be very clear, the stock market does not guarantee you 10%. It does not even guarantee you 4%. The account can increase, decrease, or remain stagnant depending on market conditions and performance. So for families who cannot afford to keep contributing, this is not guaranteed generational wealth. It's a $1,000 investment exposed to 18 years of market risk, inflation, and rising cost of living. And let's not forget, parents do not receive a federal income tax deduction for the money they contribute. Meanwhile, qualifying employers' contributions receive tax-favored treatment, and businesses may generally treat benefit costs as business expenses depending on how the program is structured. So once again, the greatest advantage goes to the child whose parents work for an employer wealthy enough and willing enough to participate. And the money is generally locked up until the child is 18. After that, the account begins operating like a traditional IRA. That means the government deposits, employer contributions, and investment earnings may be taxable when the money is withdrawn. Depending on when and how the child uses it, an additional early withdrawal penalty may apply. So no, this is not simply a free, tax-free check waiting for every child on their 18th birthday. Eligible families should absolutely claim this free $1,000. Take every dollar available to your child. But let's stop pretending that giving children the same accounts give them the same opportunity.